logistical information and how to prepare for your job shadowing experience. You can advance the slide, Heather. So during our time together this morning, we're going to talk through the benefits of job shadowing, some professionalism tips, as well as some information about what to expect from your job shadowing experience.
Awesome. So we're going to talk a little bit about benefits of job shadowing. Like Chris had mentioned, to introduce myself, my name is Heather Hall. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm the career coach for inclusion initiatives within the Center for Career Development and Academic Exploration. It's a mouthful, but I'm excited to be here. So we're just going to start with just like a little bit more about like why job shadowing is so great. So we'll go through each of the bullet points and talk a little bit more in depth. So the first one is to gain industry knowledge. So there's so many industries and so many majors, and we want to learn more kind of more specific about what this industry entails. So we may be thinking about education, but there's so many areas of education. So you can learn more about kind of like what a day looks like or different forms of education or anywhere within that realm. So it may not be education, it may be like being a lawyer and just learning more specifically outside of the classroom. So you can learn about, okay, this is what I'm learning to like become in this career field, but this is kind of what the industry is. This is what a day looks like. The next one is to grow your professional network. So it's going to be really cool that you have this opportunity to meet people who are actually practicing this career. So you can grow that professional network. LinkedIn is great. If you haven't heard about it yet, you're going to hear about it before you leave. It's an online networking tool that really helps facilitate the business side of networking. And so it's a little bit more professional. And you never know, like out of this like Big Orange Shadow program, you may have a new LinkedIn connection that you can go back on and you can talk to them and keep them throughout your college experience. So if you have a really great partner and a really great connection, you can keep them in the job loop, like, oh, this is what I'm doing, had a really great time. Thank you so much. Because while we are facilitating this one-day experience, this experience is really yours to capitalize on. So if you have a really great time, send that thank you note, do that follow-up and keep them connected. Because the job shadowing sites that you're going to and those individuals really love giving back. And so it's really cool to be connected to that experience longer than a day. And then the next one is to build skills in professionalism and career and self-development. So we'll talk a little bit more about this in the next few slides, but these are in our NACE competencies, aka career skills. So within higher education, career centers, we have this big long list of all college career centers, what we want college students to graduate with. And so this is done through extensive research of employers and feedback of what you all need in order to be successful when you first go into that job and be prepared. And so there's 8 dimensions of this, and this focuses on 2 of them to prepare you in that. So those 2 are professionalism and career and self-development. On the next few slides, we'll get into more of the NACE competencies and career skills. But yeah, benefits of job shadowing. This is not an exhaustive list. There are more, but we really want you to focus on the fact that you'll be gaining industry knowledge, that you'll be growing your professional network. And this may be the first time you start your professional network. So it'd be really cool to start with a shadowing experience. And then you're going to be building your skills in professionalism and then career and self-development. So you're like, okay, this is cool. I want to learn more about these competencies. Don't worry, that's what we're talking about next. So there's 2 slides of this. There's 4 on this slide and then 4 on the next. The first one is critical thinking. There's critical thinking, communication, teamwork, and technology. We'll go a little bit more into them. It's not going to be exhaustive. It's just knowing that these 8 areas of career skills are kind of what you need in order to be successful and ready for your first full-time job. And you'll want to have these developing throughout your college experience. When you take internships, don't get overwhelmed. Take a deep breath with me. This is just us helping prepare you where you're at. So you may think, oh my gosh, I've never had experience in any of these. You probably have, you just haven't had the time to think on it. So critical thinking is being in that setting of quick thinking, decision making, and having that experience. So critical thinking is kind of what I like to see as like a bird's eye view of, okay, like this is what I like to do. I'm seeing where everything goes together. If I make this decision here, it'll affect like domino effect here. Critical thinking also in like a strengths term in Clifton Strengths Finder is like strategic. So you're really thinking about and decision making and where everything lines up. So critical thinking is one area of career readiness and career skills that you should have when you're into the job force. The next one's communication. We all do it. Good communication skills are one of the always like top 10 skills that employers want. So you want to refine that communication skills. That means talking to your job site. That means sending thank yous. That's asking good questions. That's making sure that everyone's informed. And so communication skills will always be up there. Teamwork. We want you all to be ready to work in teams. So those team projects that some people love and some people absolutely hate in your classes do have a direct reflection on what employers value. And so that is another career skill that employers want you to have, because even if you think you will be working independently, you're still going to have some area of teamwork within that. And then technology. Not super hyper focused on this right now. We all have grown up around technology, but knowing how to use technology is becoming ever more desirable in the job force, like becoming skilled in computers. There's different classes for Excels and different things, and learning how to use different formats. But these are 4 of the career skills, and then we'll talk more about the ones I mentioned on the previous slide on this next slide. So the next ones are career and self-development. So that's learning more about your career field. That's being prepared before you walk in the door. So if you apply for your job, once you graduate, you need to know something about your career. Like you need to be ready. It's not like, oh, what does this do? So Big Orange Shadow is great for that. You're learning more about a potential area of interest, and you're like, okay, this is my career development. I'm learning more about this big, large field, and I'm picking an area and learning about that. Self-development is also in that. So learning more about yourself as a leader, as a person, and how you work. So this is one area that Big Orange Shadow really focuses on within the NACE competencies. The next one is leadership. There's leadership in every facet of what you do. Again, in classes, in your student organizations, in your job, wherever you work, there's forms and areas of leadership. And so no one is born a leader. All leadership skills are developed. And so just prepping for when you do enter the workforce, if you think, man, I don't have any leadership skills, there had to have been a time in a group project where you stepped up. But yeah, work on developing those leadership skills. There's some great classes around that here too. So that is the 6th area. Our 7th area, which we highlighted before, but you're really going to focus on in Big Orange Shadow, is professionalism. And so professionalism is just preparing you to enter in the job force and to have that air of, okay, I'm ready to work. I'm here. I'm ready to learn more. So in Big Orange Shadow, we'll get more into kind of what the day will entail later on, but you want to hold yourself in a professional manner. So that's asking inquisitive questions. You're coming prepared. The next slide, we'll talk more about professionalism and dress. You're coming with great questions. You're ready to learn. You didn't just roll out of bed and look hairy-carry. You put some effort into getting ready. You have your cup of coffee if you need that to function. You have your water, you had your breakfast. You're just up and ready. So a little more effort than maybe your 8 a.m. lecture where you're like, I'm here, but I'm not really awake. In this area, we want you to maintain a professional air and manner. You are representing the University of Tennessee, and don't take that lightly. Like, these employers are excited, they're ready to work with UT students, and how awesome would it be if you showed up professional, ready to go, and you impress these employers and are like, wow, like UT students are ready, and that can even increase your network, and they may like want to help you more. And so we just really want to focus on professionalism as well. And then the last one is equity and inclusion. And so equity and inclusion kind of encompasses everything. So we want to focus on, are there any historical barriers or oppressive manners within workplaces or jobs, and how can we help focus on those and dismantle those and break those so that the job industry and network, no matter what career field we go into, is equitable, which means that everyone has an equal and fair chance in getting into that field. And are our practices inclusive? Are we making sure that everyone feels loved and valued and that you can show up to work as yourself? Because that's the big thing. if you're going to work somewhere, you want to show up as who you are and not have to fit like a certain mold of, oh, I have to be this version of myself. Like you want to be your true version of yourself in the workforce. So we just kind of flew through these 8 career skills, but again, to highlight, for Big Orange Shadow, you are going to learn a little bit more and develop more in career and self-development. So this first one right here on the far left, and then professionalism, which is the red hued one in the middle. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, you're like, whoa, those may not make sense. You can drop those in the chat and we can go more into that. And we'll also have question time at the end. But these are 2 areas that we're going to focus on during your experience in Big Orange Shadow. So to talk more about professionalism, we're going to talk about dress for success. So during your Big Orange Shadow day, whichever day you do have, you need to show, like we talked about, show up and be ready to have a shadowing experience, look professional. And so like, what does professional look like? Depending on what area you're going into, whether it's a little bit more professional or more casual, you can have those communications with your site host and say, hey, like what does attire look like for your office? Just so you can know like, oh, what should I wear? A good tip is you can never come overdressed, but you can always come underdressed. So if you're kind of like, I don't really know what to wear, overdressed is better than underdressed. So to give an overview of kind of like what you can wear, when you're dressing for business, either casually or professionally, it's important to remember that your clothes should be wrinkle-free. They should be fitted, so not anything too baggy, but where you feel comfortable and expresses who you are, because they're your clothes and it's representation of yourself. You only get one first impression. So this is probably going to be your first impression with these employers. So make sure whatever you wear helps you feel confident and comfortable. And so a few tips are your shoes and your belt colors should match. This is also with your shoes. If you decide to carry a purse or bring a purse, they should be the same unless you go for a statement piece. That's up to you. But your shoes and your belts, so if you're doing a brown and a brown, a black and a black, just make sure that those match. So it's not anything that's like, ooh, that's maybe an eyesore. For professional business clothing, this is not an exhaustive list. These are just a few ideas. We have a fitted dress pants. So any pants that look really nice on you, they go all the way down. We aren't wearing any high waters. Those can come in any colors. It could be a khaki, it could be a tan, it could be black, whatever those look like. Blazers are always a really nice touch. You don't have to button them. You can leave it unbuttoned. A knee-length skirt or floor longer, it's whatever you look like, whatever you want it to look like. And then a long sleeve button down. You could do this. They do have more business professional dresses if you choose to wear a dress, but that's kind of what business professional looks like. Whereas business casual, you can get away with wearing short sleeve button ups. Just make sure they're wrinkle free, especially your khakis or chinos. Khakis can hold wrinkles like no other, so just make sure they're nice and crisp. There are polos that you can wear. Those look nice, and a nice sweater. So whatever you wear, make sure that you have that conversation, you do a little bit more research, which we'll get into in a second, of kind of people on their website or their social media wear a certain thing in the office. You can kind of dress to that. And where it will be January, we highly recommend closed-toed shoes. It's going to be cold and chilly, and some offices really don't see those as professional. But again, make sure you feel comfortable because you're going to be there for a while. And when you feel comfortable, you're more at ease and you can focus more on the shadowing experience than wearing an uncomfortable outfit. Because I know for me, if I wear something uncomfortable, my mind goes to like I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to wear this. When can I get out of it? Versus if you're in a comfortable outfit, you're in a nice little sweater, you feel warm, you're in some crisp khakis, like you are ready to be focused. This is not an exhaustive list. This is just a little bit to get your mind going, but this is for professional dress as well. If you have any questions about that, we can go over it at the end, but I will go ahead and transition for Chris to go to more about research.
Thanks, Heather. So we've covered some basic professionalism information, and I want to transition now into how you can best prepare for your job shadowing experience. One of the key components of this is doing some organization research. When you receive your shadowing match, You'll also have the company or organization that you'll be shadowing with, as well as a contact at that site. So it will be a great strategy for you to do some research on that organization. What do they do? What can you expect? And learning some on your own about how they fit into that job industry and how big they are. Are they a chain, or are they something that only has one location? And if you aren't able to find some of this information on your own through your own research, these can be questions that you ask during your job shadowing experience if your host doesn't share it immediately. Heather, you can advance to the next slide for me. Some other great tips for career and industry research. These are some of our most popular resources that we have on our website. And I'll show you at the end of this presentation some of the ins and outs of our website so you can find them. I cannot recommend Candid Career highly enough. Candid Career is a website that is filled with informational interview videos, and it is searchable by job title, industry, or major. And when you know who you're going to be shadowing with, let's say you're shadowing a marketing organization, you can search in Candid Career by people who are working in marketing and watch some short videos to help you prepare. And that lets you go into your job shadowing experience with questions like, I've heard that this is what a typical day looks like. Is this true for you? Or I heard that they recommend that college students do X, Y, and Z to prepare for this kind of job role. Is this advice that you would also recommend, or do you have anything else to add to that list? So a great way to help you prepare really great questions for your job shadowing day. These other resources are really good as well. The Occupational Outlook Handbook is compiled by the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. So they can give you a list of similar occupations compared to any job. They have great information about what people do. And the tailored career guidance pages are career pages that we've curated for you as UT students based on your major or industry area. So this can also help you prepare for your job shadowing experience as well. Heather, you can advance. And here are some sample questions that you might want to ask during your Big Orange Shadow Day. This is not an exhaustive list, and knowing the industry that you are shadowing with could really help you compile a longer list of questions. What you'll notice about all of these is that these are all really open-ended conversation starter questions. And they should elicit some really good responses from your shadowing hosts. Building off of some of the NACE career competencies that Heather shared with all of you, you could also ask questions based off of those. So for example, what technology platforms do you use in your organization? Or what technology skills are important that I build before I graduate? Some of those skills might be things that they tell you could be great for you to learn now, or they might say, oh, this is something that is part of the training schedule for anyone new that we hire. So there's not an expectation that you already know how to use our platforms, but you can get a variety of responses that way. All of these are also designed to help you in your own decision-making process, and also help you on your own journey to learn what kinds of skills you can build before you graduate or are applying to graduate programs if that's relevant for your journey. You can advance to the next slide, Heather. And here's just a checklist of information for all of you to be aware of. We extended the Big Orange Shadow application deadline to December 14th. So I'm not expecting to make all of our shadowing matches until the week of December 20th. So please do check your email during the break so that you can learn if you've been matched with a shadowing site, or if there's any updates from us or the shadowing site that you need to know about. We are in the process of collecting the itineraries for each of your Big Orange Shadow dates. We've asked the shadowing sites to plan anywhere from a half to full day experience for you, but we gave them a lot of flexibility on what that looks like. Some of you may be spending the half or full day with mostly the same person. Some of you may be meeting with several different people within the organizations, either that are early career professionals who are a couple years out of college to people who have been working at that organization for a long time and maybe a management or executive role. So there will be a lot of variation in what your shadowing days may look like. We do ask that you write a thank you note for your shadowing site. They are being very generous with their time in letting you join their organization and to plan a meaningful and educational day for all of you. And we will also have a post-shadowing survey that we want you to fill out. And that's really designed for us to learn more about how we can make Big Orange Shadow a better program. If you liked your shadowing host and would recommend that we use them in the future. It's also really, really important that if anything happens with your availability for Big Orange Shadow, whether it's a change in your schedule related to like a part-time job that you work during the break, or if you get sick, there's some kind of other emergency, that you contact me. And if it's really close to the day of your shadowing date, the shadowing site. What we don't want is for our shadowing hosts to feel like they planned a meaningful day and then you didn't show up without warning. That could permanently jeopardize that employer's willingness to host students in the future. So it is really important both for future students and for yourself that you are still making a good impression, even if you're not able to attend. I think this was the last slide. So I am going to transition now to showing you some of the resources on the Center for Career Development's website. So you can find them for your own research later. Many of the resources that I mentioned can be found in this featured resources column on our website. I'm going to drop this link in the chat for all of you so you have it if you want it in the future, and I hope you will. All of these platforms are ones that UT has subscriptions to. So if you Google them, you might be prompted to pay for them. We don't want you to pay for them because we've already done that for you. Candid Career is the site that I mentioned where you can watch these short videos about different individuals. And I'm just going to search for engineer in here and see what we find. And this will pull up a variety of different responses. So it could include people who majored in an engineering background and or people that work in an engineering job now. When you find a job that you want to learn more about, it gives you like these different short videos, and they're broken up into different pieces, including a job description video, a loves and challenges video. So what do people like about their job? And what are some of the things that aren't so great? Both of those pieces of information can help you in your decision-making process. And if you decide that this is a career journey that you want to continue on, how to prepare for it while you're still a UT student. So you can search by general keyword, you can search by career title or college major. If you search by major, or really any of these search fields, be flexible in what you search for. Different colleges will call the same major by different titles, and the same goes for career titles too. Sometimes people that do essentially the same work might be called a different thing by their employers. And let me go back to our website here. One of the other options that I highly recommend for you is using the tailored career guidance information. And I'll drop this in the chat for you also. These give you a lot of information curated by different career interests. So I pull open the Haslam College of Business for an example. When you click within any of these, you can learn more about this. If you, I'll use marketing as a good example here. Let's say you're a student in the College of Communication, majoring in advertising, or a English major with a business minor that's still looking for marketing jobs. You can still use this marketing page even if you're not a marketing major, because this will give you still some really good information about different marketing careers within that umbrella. And some other job information sites or professional associations that you can learn more about. These were the biggest things that I wanted to showcase on our website, but all of these resources are good. So Firsthand gives you a lot of really in-depth information on job areas, and what can I do with this major can also be a really good one for all of you as well. Are there any questions that anyone has about Big Orange Shadow or how to prepare, anything that Heather or I did not cover during the presentation? And you can unmute or put your question in the chat.
So you said that we'll get more information about like what we're doing over break. Is that right?
That's correct. So I'm anticipating being able to send that out around December 17th or even the week of December 20th. For those of you that have applied during the original deadline, I'm going to try to start matching you before then. So you might hear from me before December 20th, but I'm hoping it won't be any later than that. Does that answer your question, Mackenzie?
Yeah, it does. And I was also wondering, I have a friend that wants to apply, and she hasn't yet, so obviously she didn't come today. So is there like a way that she would be able to watch this recording?
Yes, that's a great question, Mackenzie. So we are going to make this recording available to people who applied later. All of you and the people that watch the recording will have a very short quiz to take about what we covered today. It's not hard, it's not scary, but we just want to make sure that all of you gained the most important information. So your friend Mackenzie can still apply. The deadline is December 14th, and the same is true of anyone else that is watching. Your friends can still apply by the December 14th deadline.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good question. Anyone else? Okay, well, I'll be respectful of everyone's valuable time during study day, and we'll stop the recording, but if you have any other questions for us, Heather and I will stick